Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yep, here I am, as advertised. How you doing? As I mentioned yesterday, today's my wedding anniversary. Yes, on this date in 1972, in my parents' backyard, I was wed. I'm not so wed anymore, but yow, 72. So is that right? It'd be 50. Yow, is that 53 years then? It'd be my 53rd. I don't know. I can't do math. Anyway, well, he was a good guy. If you happen to be listening, Cullen, happy anniversary. All right, so I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. Thank you, Bree. He says greetings from Malaysia. Whoa, man, Malaysia seems so far away. It is. Well, seems like a safer place to be than where I'm at. Now, I want to talk about something that, has been troubling me. A lot of things have been troubling me. But I'm going to start with something that was actually in the New York Times today. And it's a story about just one immigrant who came here from, this guy came from Lebanon in 1986. He was 18 years old. He ended up in Los Angeles, I believe. He was fleeing war in his country, and he worked his tail off. He had to learn the language. He had, he delivered Domino's pizzas. He made enough money to get himself into college, and then he went on to earn graduate degrees, and he ended up in neuroscience. And dang, if 4 years ago he didn't end up with a Nobel Prize. That's just one immigrant that we took in. And he's still here. He's working on other stuff. He's actually working on something that I wish people would spend more time with, since so many people suffer from pain. He's been working on new approaches to treat pain because that opioid thing didn't work too well, right? So, but something happened very recently, and it's because the American people elected Donald Trump. This guy's grant to continue his study, this Nobel Prize winner's grant, has been frozen. And he was left to beg. He literally posted on social media that these cuts were going to damage biomedical research, and that he was really fearful that it was going to cause a brain drain, that scientists would understandably get out of the country, go elsewhere, take their brains and take their research. And within an hour of his having posted that, China offered him to move his lab anywhere in China he wanted, any city, any university, with guaranteed funding for 20 years, no questions asked. Now, I would imagine he's not the only scientist who has gotten such offers. He did not take it because he loves his adopted country. But make no mistake, the brain drain is happening. And I keep reading quotes from people who know much more than I, and this is keeping them up at night as well. Here's one. Happened to see this about a month ago. It's an economist. 3 things have made the United States rich and powerful: the rule of law, its science and innovation programs, and its openness to foreign talent. It is simply remarkable how Trump has taken a sledgehammer to all 3. No enemy of this country could do more. That's the part that keeps me up at night. Why would he do this? Why would he take from us that which is our strength? And our strength has been built on. This recent attack, this astonishing, audacious, amazing attack by Ukraine on Russia, is being written a lot about. And I was reading something about that today. And this was said: the drones that the Ukrainians use cost no more than $1,000 a piece. And simply by using deception, technology, and strategic surprise, they managed to destroy billions of dollars worth of Russian aircraft. And this heralds a change in modern warfare, which I was talking about the other day. But here's the thing: if there's a change in modern warfare, it's clearly a change that values brains, that values having the brains that can use technology wisely, agilely. And that is going to be what makes a nation strong. Brains. Not industrial capacity, not big jets. The advantage will go to those countries that can adapt quickly to constantly changing conditions. That takes brains. And we have a president and an administration that is actively declared war on our education system. Literally destroyed the Department of Education. Openly targeted and trying to starve money Harvard, Columbia, other elite universities, and intimidating all the others. What impact does this have on our national security? It is mind-blowingly huge. And that's why I keep asking myself, why? Why? No enemy of the United States could do more. And it's not just Trump. So you could say, well, he's an idiot. No, he doesn't get it. No. He is surrounded by people, and they know what they're doing. And this is the kind of thing that keeps me up at night. He's surrounded by people. And the problem is increasingly as we get to see some of the people in his administration, we see that he is surrounded by people that do not value this country. In fact, look with admiration on Vladimir Putin, Viktor Orban. Charlie Sykes has said this: if an unfriendly foreign power was attempting to dismantle American science, we might well have viewed it as an act of war. But as it stands, our own government is doing this. We are, in effect, committing an act of unilateral intellectual and scientific disarmament. Yep. And exactly at a time when the Ukrainians have put the world on notice that warfare, self-defense, national security, the game has changed. And it goes to the smartest. And he, Trump, has created a brain drain. The Europeans, the Chinese, any other country actively going after our best and brightest now. The best and brightest from other countries who used to come to our universities. We flat out told them, don't bother. Or, sure, come and be worried about being plucked off the street someday by masked men and shoved into a car. It's mind-blowing. It's self-harm on such a huge scale that it's hard to come up with any reason other than he's working for the enemy. If an enemy could do no worse, then where does that lead? When we ferret around for any answer to what the hell purpose is being served here. You know, I learned about somebody I didn't know who's part of the administration today, and I believe it was the Telegraph. Well, it was first Heather Richardson Cox, who is just a genius. And if you're not following her, I mean, that she alone, if you read her, will keep you up to date on what is going on to our nation. She is a historian and she puts it in historical perspective often, but she is taking notes. She is writing history in real time, and it is important. So she reads voraciously, and what she does is on a daily basis compile some of the things she's read. So often when you read her, you're reading stuff that you have read as well, but often stuff comes in that you have not seen. And that's what happened today. When reading her, I found this out. There's a guy who is an undersecretary for public diplomacy in our State Department now. His name is Darren Beatty, or Beatty, don't know how he pronounces it. And this guy was also part of Trump's first administration. But he ended up being tossed out of Trump's first administration after it was found out that he had been in attendance at a white nationalist rally. And you see, in Trump's first administration, that kind of thing would get you tossed. Not anymore, because he's been invited back into the second Trump administration. And he's still the guy who attended a racist rally. And he's not only been invited back, but he's been made an undersecretary in the Department of State. And if you look at this guy's bio and what he has written, your blood runs cold. He has attacked, I'm just gonna, I'll read now, go to Heather Richardson Cox, okay? He has attacked the United States as the globalist American empire. That's how he refers to our country, the globalist American empire. And he has said that Vladimir Putin should infiltrate Western institutions to fight us. This guy is in our State Department. Three years ago, he wrote, "The position of the US in the global order is rapidly deteriorating." And went on to say that he looked forward to its prestige and power collapsing. Okay? This is a guy in a position of authority in our State Department, and he's looking forward to America's collapse and inviting Vladimir Putin in to infiltrate our country. He went on to praise Putin as brave and strong. He said that Putin, quote, had done more to advance conservative positions in the United States than any Republican. And he said just about every Western institution would improve in quality if it were directly infiltrated and controlled by Putin. When I call Trump and his administration traitorous, I am not using the word loosely. How are these quotes not traitorous. And he is, the man I'm quoting, is in Marco Rubio's State Department. The Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. And I didn't even know about him till today. There are so many of these people. A few other things he's written. I mean, you cannot believe this. This guy, who supposedly represents us on the world stage, NATO is a far worse threat to the health, liberty, freedom, and flourishing of American citizens than Russia and China combined. So when we say Trump's come in and he's flipped, he's made our European allies the enemy, and he's cozied up to our enemy, Russia. And while he seems to be fighting China, he looks with admiration at the power that it has and its leader has. I'm and I read today, so that's what's going on. And now let's look at what our Secretary of Defense is busy doing. The only news I saw, oh my God. Wait, one more quote from this son of a bitch, Beatty. He put this up on X just in October. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. He is a racist, a white nationalist, and a traitor. And he's got so much company in the Trump administration. So I was looking at what Hegseth is up to. And man, he, you know, every time I read something about him, it's more clownish than the last thing I read about him, although he's the effing Secretary of our Defense. And here's how he spends his time. He is planning to strip the name Harvey Milk from the naval ship that it has been on for years. This is the kind of thing he takes his time doing. Harvey Milk, as I'm sure you know, was an assassinated civil rights hero, specifically for gays in America, who was assassinated with the mayor of San Francisco. He was honored by having a ship named after him, and Hegseth is making a point of stripping that ship of its name during Pride Month. When they do these things, they do them with that kind of care. What can we do to show our contempt, our hatred of, our intent to wipe gays, women, blacks, browns, any minority group, DEI, anyone who's not a white man, how we can wipe them out. My God. My God. Meanwhile, Aaron has written that, and I appreciate it because I hadn't seen this, that that the Pride event here in Pittsburgh this weekend drew a record crowd of over 250,000. That's what they're saying, 275,000. But make no mistake, these people are out. These people being our government are out to erase all of the gains that have been celebrated, understandably, all the civil rights gains. No enemy of our country could do more. It's breathtaking. Yeah, breathtaking. So let's share some good news I came upon. And this I read in the Trib, and it was about, I mean, this is the first time I can think of that I have ever read a positive story about the Allegheny County Jail. And I just wanted to pass it on in case you had missed it. But there is a new man in charge of the jail, a new warden. And he is getting rave, just rave reviews from every sector. There's not a negative word to be heard. That is such a rarity for anybody in this kind of position. His name is Trevor Wingard, and he came out of retirement to take on this job. And the former administration had run the jail into such a horrific condition. You know, people were dying there at a higher rate than almost any jail in the country. It was brutal, ugly. Morale for those working there, as low as morale could get. The administration under Rich Fitzgerald and Orlando Harper, the warden, was, bellicose, refusing to. They were just, I mean, they were Trumpian, autocratic, and not acting as if they held a public trust. This guy, my God, it, everyone is singing his praises, including all the people who had been, ranting and raving and protesting for the last years about the administration of the jail. The unions there love this guy. Can't say a bad word about him. He sounds amazing. He sounds like he is a humane, good man. And this article just blew me away. And this is something that you can credit the new county executive for, and the progressives that so many like to denigrate, including me on occasion. But Sarah Inamurato had made clear that this was something she wanted to address, and she did it. She wanted to transform the corrections culture in the county, and man, this guy has been extraordinary. Just to quote from the article, more than 100 days into his tenure, Wingard is drawing praise from even the facility's most ardent critics. In a dozen interviews we did, observers, including activists, lawyers, subordinates, union leaders, said he is making a positive difference, using a personal touch to make connections and shake things up. That's what one good hire can do. And believe me, it made my day reading that. That's some of the best news I've seen in some time. Also, just staying local for a minute because Aaron, who told me that the Pride event drew a record crowd, also noted two things that I have noted as well, and I will like to pass them on. This is so wonderful. When it comes to local philanthropy, Dan and Carol Kamin, Kamin, have become just extraordinary people. Uh, they have what? I think their name is now on our science center, and they have just given another record gift to the city, to the Pittsburgh History Center, um, in which now anyone under the age of 18 will not have to pay admission to the History Center. In you go. In you go. That's just wonderful. Um, and Aaron also had said, maybe you'd want to talk about these Steelers that showed up at Trump's rally. I mean, I mentioned it, made me sick, and forever changed how I think about Rocky Bleier, who, by the way, I didn't know, presented Trump with a Steeler uniform with Trump's name on it. Who is Rocky Bleier to be making that presentation? He doesn't have the right to make that presentation. The Steelers have the right to make of an honorary jersey, but Rocky doesn't. And that really pissed me off. And I don't think the folks at Acrisure Stadium were thrilled with it either. So the only piece I saw about that is the Steelers are distancing themselves from the players who attended Trump's rally Friday and proclaimed him an honorary Steeler. And they put out this statement. We understand that a recent rally in Pittsburgh has generated a range of reactions from our fan base. Our alumni and current players, he'd be speaking about Rocky Bleier and Mason Rudolph, right, and some other guy who was there, make their own individual decisions that reflect their views, and they do not necessarily represent the view of the entire Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Yeah, the other guy was Miles Killebrew, who's a safety. Bleier gives him the jersey and says to him, I'd like to present this to a Hall of Fame president. Dan Rooney spinning in his grave. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, in case you missed it, just while I'm on sort of more locally issues, Philadelphia Inquirer had an editorial the other day. Hang on, I'll find the little bit I'm looking for. And they were talking about wait a minute, Fetterman. Why can't I find it? I will. Hang on. And they said this. This was in an editorial in the Inquirer, part of it, on our senator. Quote, he regularly skips committee hearings, cancels meetings, avoids the daily caucus lunches with colleagues, and rarely goes on the Senate floor. Being an elected official comes with public scrutiny. If Fetterman can't handle the attention or perform his job, then in the best interest of the country and the nearly 13 million residents of Pennsylvania he supposedly represents, he should step aside. Wow. Well, it's sad. I don't disagree. I really don't disagree. So, did you hear the head of FEMA said that I didn't know there's a hurricane season? They later said he was joking. How's that even a joke for the head of FEMA? That's a joke? If you're the head of FEMA, you don't joke about hurricanes. They're not a joking matter. And this head of FEMA is somebody who has he has zero experience in doing a job like this. His name is David Richardson. He, like so many of the people in the Trump administration, did not pass muster in terms of having his nomination put up and then, signed off on by the Senate. He's just an acting. So all FEMA has now is an acting head, and he's this guy who makes jokes about hurricanes. And it made one writer in the Atlantic today start an article with this. Who manages the disaster if the disaster managers are the disaster? And that's sort of, I would think, succinctly sums it up. Trump wants to destroy FEMA. He does not want the federal government to be involved in responding to these events. Can you imagine? He wants the states to do it. And the thing is, the states can't. I mean, it's why you see after a huge event like a hurricane or huge flooding, it's why you see utility companies from all over the place flying in, even sometimes people from other countries coming in, because local people and state people never have enough resources. It's one of the reasons that, well, we created a country, because the states knew that there were some things that needed a federated presence to respond to. But that is, I guess, a concept that is beyond the ken of this current clown car that now constitutes our government. So as we head into another hurricane season, I guess all we can do is pray that the gods are kind, and because we are not ready. We've gutted the agency. We've starved it. We've belittled it. By we, I'm talking about our government. We've put incompetent, clueless people in charge of it. What could go wrong? And again, I ask, why? What are they thinking? Do they just want to kill people? Do they? I know this crowd has a capacity for cruelty that I've never seen before in any administration. Never, not even close. But why would you go about hurting the very people who voted for you? Because last time I looked, the states that most often get hit by hurricanes are red states: Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. I mean, and these people, what? Continue to support these people? Do they know anything? Maybe not, because I suppose Fox News that they watch is not, covering this. Oh no. You can understand why, if you're somebody who pays attention, like I do, how flummoxed I am when inevitably, upon reading something, I ask, why? Why would you put this person in a position of power? Why would you take away our best and brightest and tell those best and brightest from elsewhere who want to come here to stay away. Why? When the future is going to belong to the brains. Hey, I want to say I gave a recommendation the other day that I want to withdraw, having watched 2 more episodes. I just really can't. I'm not enjoying. It's too weird. It's just too odd. And that is the rehearsal. I mean, boy, wow. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you'll like it. I really loved the first episode, but the next one, not so much. The third one, my God, I thought I was going to die. So no, I'm not. I want to withdraw. Could watch that first episode, but man, I am not recommending the rest, and I'm probably bailing after 3. Just wanted to say. Robert writes, Rocky Blyer was never a bright bulb. Didn't he sign a prenup on a bar napkin that held up in court? What? I don't know. I didn't know that. That's good. Oh my God. Oh. Oh, but somebody's telling me, oh, no, 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 no. Keep going because the rehearsal concludes on an amazing note. Oh, God. Well, maybe I'll skip to the 6th. There's just 6 episodes, right? I just can't. I mean, it. He's so weird. He's just so effing weird. Oh, I mean, there are yeah, times when it's ingenious, and I cannot believe the amount of money that HBO spent. Okay, Milton is telling me keep going. Uh, all right, all right. Damn. All right. I love the first one. The next 2, not so much. Maybe I wasn't in the right mood. But that whole baby thing and the Sully thing, I just found it grotesque. I, I just, ugh, whatever. Anyway, okay, whatever. All right, guys, you can. Uh, I'll do it for you. I'll do it. Um, all right. So here's the thing. Also, front page today, New York Times. Just the headline for you. Uh, Denouncing anti-Semitism, Trump also fans its flames. There it is. Yeah, yeah, because he's an anti-Semite. He's an effing anti-Semite. He hangs with anti-Semites. He puts white nationalists in important positions in the State Department. He, Jesus H. He uses Jews. He's hiding behind anti-Semitism for his immigration policies, for some of his crueler policies, to make war on the universities. And none of that helps the Jews. I assure you, none of it helps the Jews. I don't do a lot of local news watching, so I don't know if this is something that you guys know, but I just read it. That the FBI here has, in fact, charged a local guy for making threats to a Jewish office holder, a Jewish public official who's unnamed, for his and his employees and family security. That's where we are. That's where we're at. Okay, so this guy that was arrested this week is threatened this public official. We're coming for you. German flag emoji, Nazi salute emoji. Be afraid. Go back to Israel. Or better yet, exterminate yourself and save us the trouble. We'll not stop until your kind is non existent. Well, I just want to say, guys, that this is, yeah, gathering momentum, and anyone who knows history knows this is not heading in a good place. And if you're a Jew, it's particularly sickening. Milton, Milton has written, "No, don't keep going. It's too much of Nathan Fielder. Small, brief doses spaced by months of time is the way to view his stuff." Well, you're right. It's why I waited like 4 days between one and two. But you're right. I watched two and three last night, and I was sickened. Huh. A series binge watched or even in weekly installments is just too much. But okay, all right. Well, I'll try to remember to finish it up at some point. But thank you for that. I comprehend that because I agree. So anyway, speaking of this Jew thing, which, as you know, I've in the last since Tree of Life, I have really been reluctant, even before Tree of Life, to talk about these issues because I am a Jew, and I've always felt, and I think with reason, that people don't like Jews talking about anti Semitism, and people don't like Jews bringing up the Holocaust, and people just generally think, shut the fuck up, get over it. And I came to that conclusion just from, I think, being a pretty, uh, yeah, astute observer of body language and just other stuff, silences or yeah, whatever. I just um I haven't, I'm always uncomfortable doing it. But if it's going to become like a big thing again, I don't see how I'm supposed to avoid it. And yet I know that people don't like Jews bitching about this. And I think that's because, well, it's part of the problem. People are just uncomfortable with Jews, I think. Anyway, this woman named Sheila Katz heads an organization called the National Council of Jewish Women, New York Times today. And this is an organization that I belong to, uh, being a Jewish woman. And I think she's trying to explain to the progressive, the lefties, because the latest Jewish stuff is coming from the pro-Palestinian crowd, and that'll, skew left. It's not coming from the KKK and the who, whatever. But when it starts coming from all sides, Jews start, checking their passports. And I just want to read a few things she says because I think she states it pretty well. But if you want to tune out now. There's only 5 minutes left. She says this: when anti-Semitism emerges within progressive spaces, cloaked in the language of justice, too often it is met with silence and discomfort. She says, I have watched progressive silence meet Jewish pain since this war began with Hamas's attack on Israel. When reports emerged that Hamas had used sexual violence as a weapon of war on October 7, feminist groups globally largely remained quiet. Movements that champion bodily autonomy in reproductive justice, LGBTQ organizations, refused again and again to acknowledge that both Palestinians and Israelis are entitled to safety, dignity, and freedom from violence. During Pride Month, Jews witnessed blanket calls. She might be talking about, I don't know if she's talking about this Pride Month or last year's, but I know last year this was a big thing. During Pride Month, Jews witnessed blanket calls to ban Zionists outright from events. I have watched the morphing of the word Zionist, which is the basic belief in Jewish self-determination, into a slur. Jews have sounded the alarm about rising anti-Semitism, and in response, we have been gaslit, ignored, and told that our fear is overblown. We have been asked unreasonably to fully disavow our relationship to Israel, spiritually and emotionally, just to be accepted by supposed allies. We have been pressured to denounce a foreign government we do not vote for, as if our participation in domestic conversations about justice and equity depends on it. Our position in this war on Israel does not affect how extremists perceive us. To them, we're all Jews, and that alone makes us targets. This is how anti-Semitism always works. Anti-Semitism scapegoats Jews, depicting us as both invisible and omnipresent, casting us as powerless and, when convenient, and all-powerful and controlling at other times. Anti-Semitism isolates, allowing hatred against Jews to grow. In both recent attacks here, the suspects allegedly announced their actions were taken to free Palestine. Anti-Semitic violence does not make Palestinians or anyone else freer or safer. It just kills Jews. We must continue to call for nonviolence, both here and abroad. And we need allies who show up not only when Jews are murdered or attacked, but also when Jews are vilified. We need coalitions that make space for the complexity of Jewish identity. That is Sheila Katz in the New York Times today. I agree, and it's why it's a whole lot of why I have pulled away from the progressives. It's hard to be a member of a group that puts you in such an impossible situation because of your religion. All right, that's it. I'll hope for some more laugh-inducing stuff for tomorrow. Can't promise a thing, but I'll be on the lookout. I promise. I really do promise.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.